Live. Friday Night Live. Third night in a row. Gramps has been live a whole bunch this week. We've just had a hoot and hollering time getting every guest that we can on because, hey, we're kicking off. Well, everybody down south is kicking off their fishing season while the rest of us are out here playing with, icicles and poking holes in ice to try to catch fish. Gramps ain't doing none of that crap. I'm rigging kayaks and making rod and reel review videos and having as many people on live streams as I can. Tonight, here on the Gramps Live Everything Kayak Fishing Podcast dual stream. Yes, it's going to go to a podcast afterwards, but tonight's live, we got Gene, the Fluke Master Jensen, and Michael Musgrove here tonight to talk about the new Team Kayak Series that they put together for the season this year. And looking at all the places they're fishing, I need to figure out and find a way and make my way to one of these lakes because it looks like it's going to be a good time. But we wanted to get both on tonight to kind of talk about where the concept came from, how we got where we are, and where we're going in this first inaugural season for the Team Kayak Series. So, fellas, tell us where out of the blue that you two came up with this concept and how we got where we are, where we're getting ready to start fishing this season.
Well, I guess when was it, Michael? But I got the wild hair for this idea about a year ago or a year and a half ago, something like that. I guess it was about after the Knucklehead tournament that we did. I thought team series was a lot of fun and things like that. And then I used to fish the Fishers of Men tournament. Team tournament, and I fished Monday night and Wednesday night and Friday night team tournaments with my best friend and in big boats. And I was just like, man, that'd be fun to try to do it for the kayak world. And I'm not talking about being in a tandem boat fishing with your team, your partner, or what we call a divorce boat. Just get out.
XTRs for everybody.
Yep, just pair up and work together to catch a 10 fish limit. I mean, how much fun could that that can't be not fun. I mean, it's just got to be a blast. So I got with Michael and Michael, you have your own side of the story, but yeah, it's I'm looking forward to what's going on.
Pretty much the same thing. I mean, we talked about this the other night. It's I had kind of envisioned something like this in my mind, hadn't spoke about it with anybody really, but Gene brought it up to me. He and I are doing what we're hoping teammates are going to be able to do with this series. It's what a lot of guys are already doing when they fish these tournament series and these different circuits. They're traveling together, they're sharing costs and expenses, splitting the cost for Airbnb, travel, gas, and teammates will be able to do that now and compete together, even continue to work together on the water. It's just a really neat format. When he voiced it to me, I was like, dude, I've already been thinking about this. Let's do it. Let's run with it.
Yep.
Yeah, somebody wants to know if Gene's already in bed. Yeah, Gene's in bed.
I am. That's my pillow behind me. I'm sitting in my tent down here in Kissimmee.
Yep. So for those who may not know, Gene is down in the Kissimmee chain for the second event of the Bassmaster Kayak Series season. They're in Florida, so they are open for pre-fishing tomorrow, and then the tournament is on Saturday and Sunday coming this next week. And I was talking to Gene before the show kicked off about this time of year, Florida trends. He even predicted we might see a couple of double digits caught.
Would not be surprised at all. I'd put money on it.
Yeah, so when you hear that from the Fluke Master himself, I'd say we might see some pretty good-sized fish on the leaderboard. So it'd be a good time to watch this year, too. But, yeah, I mean, it's fun because when we talk about the concept of team fishing, those of us who fished boat side for years ago, Jeremy and I fished team events back in the 90s and early 2Ks out of his Nitro. And then even we've seen the concept in kayak some. There was like a 4-man kayak league, that tried to get off the ground for a few years there a little bit. I know that in Indiana, we had the Indianapolis Knights, and there were several other teams that, and then we see the Kayak Adventure Series has some team events, and then KBF even had the KBF Team Cup. And then, spawning from that, we had the Knucklehead Bass Fishing Series this last year where, we had 4-man teams and stuff like that too. But to have an actual 2-man kayak series, I think we are in that time and age where something like this is due, and I think you guys are getting a pretty good response so far. Coming into the first year, it should be pretty good. I've seen a lot of names that I know of folks that are fishing together. Now, obviously, Gene and Michael won't be fishing because they're running the tournaments. But, I've seen teams like, Abby Abinanza and Jody Queen, Chad and Austin Hoover looking about probably jumping into some. We talked to Russ Snyders last week. Him and his partner, are going to be jumping in. And so, yeah, you're going to see all kinds of folks who actually, who do this out competing together. And like you said, splitting the cost. And, I could see my brother and I doing this sometime down the road. Just because it's that kind of a fun thing. I remember we've even got some Freedom Squad members saying they're going to fish them, at Gunnersville. Trevor and Emily are going to be down there. So that'll be cool. It's cool to see that we're into, a process where kayak fishing as a sport itself is still growing. It's cool that we are where we are. So before we get into like where we're going, who you guys partnered with, and somebody's got a train going by.
Abby Michael.
That'd be me. Welcome
Yeah,
to Waycross, Georgia.
He lives in Waycross.
Yeah. My house when I lived in Indy was, my backyard had a train tracks running through it. So I got to the point where I didn't even hear them anymore. But
I think there's 20 different directions where trains come from to where he's at. So it's
Waycross
train hub
allegedly got its name. It allegedly got its name because it was where the ways cross, and literally there are train crossings on every main highway.
Yep.
So tell me who you guys have partnered up with this year to kind of get the first season kicked off the ground.
Yep. So we're in conversation actually still with a few individuals, but some of the people you're going to see with product and some other kinds of support helping us launch the series. We're working with Yak Attack. We've actually talked to them and made the leaderboard our official measuring device.
Okay.
We also catch products as well. Yep. But we're partnered with them. We're working with them closely. We're working with some other folks on some like contingency bonus programs. If you're using their product, you catch the big bass, or you place in the leader on the leaderboard, and you're using their product, you could conceivably win more money in second place than you do first place because you're getting bonus bucks from people like Sniper Marine if you're using their pole. And there's a couple other companies that are jump in with contingencies like that. Help me think, Gene. Who are some people we're working with? Kayak Cushion, he's come on board and offered some product giveaways. We're going to do some of that at some of our award ceremonies with some logo action on some kayak cushions. Who else? Some of them we can't tell you yet because we're still working with them. But
that's understandable.
Yeah, we got a catch is going to help us with some trophies, but and the trophies are going to be pretty awesome if we can finish getting them organized and designed. Kind of getting down to crunch time for that, but yeah, dude, it's just gonna. I think during the season, more and more sponsors are going to jump in. We haven't got any numbers yet, so that's kind of where.
Well, yeah, I mean that's
where we're sitting, and that's normal. I kind of expected what's going on right now with just with this because we just have no proof of concept yet. But I think it's gonna.
Yeah, I mean when you bring in numbers, that's obviously what you take in the next year and so forth and so on too as it grows, and. You guys have a pretty good response from the community so far. Who have you got, signed up and joined up to fish so far? Because one of the things, and I'll tell you guys this as a fan of the sport, one of the things that drew a lot of us, like going even to the KBFNC, for example, it's knowing that guys like Gene and Russ, are going to be there. So for those that are fans of the sport out there, who are some of the anglers that you guys have been talking to that's going to come out and fish some of the events this year?
It's a good question. We've got, you've mentioned a few names that are really key in the industry. Some people that we really know and love. It's going to be fun to see them fish some of our events. Russ Snyder's, I think Garrett Wade's talked about fishing a few. Wyatt Hammond, the KBF Rookie of the Year and Angler of the Year last year, or 2023, I guess. He's partnered up with somebody, and he's going to be fishing, I think, with Mr. Faircloth. And I saw a live the other day with Miss Christine Fisher. She was talking about coming up and pairing up with somebody to fish our Susky event. We're excited to have her.
Okay, yeah.
So those are a few of the names I've seen, a few more, and you've mentioned a few as well.
Yeah, a lot of people talking. Nobody's, they haven't
Yeah,
signed those. Those are, you know how it is, man. I'm still
Yeah.
waiting on. We're still missing about 50 people to fish this one down here too. So it's
Yeah, I got you.
yeah.
all those last
It's
minute guys.
the kayak fishing industry are
We
key
are the worst,
procrastinators.
most procrastinate bunch of people.
Yeah,
we've got a big following on our Facebook page. If a third of those show up, Murray's going to be humongous. But as
Yeah.
far as paying members and registrants right now, I think right now for the Murray event, we've got somewhere around 10 or 12 teams registered.
There you go.
For that event. So coming, you know how it is. About a week before the event, all the registrations will flood in. So
When
because
people are like, "Oh, I can get out and go fish." Oh, the fish is on.
Yeah, and our registration cuts off a week ahead of time. So and we'll discuss all that here in just a second, all the rules and everything else. But yeah,
Sounds good. Sounds well. I'd say keep going on, jumping in, and even if you want to get into the rules or if you guys got a format, I'm all ears.
So what's really cool about what we're doing is well, I'll start off with of course it's like I said, it's a 2-man team series, and what we want to see is we want to see these teams come up with names. We really want to see them fish every tournament together as a team. The two partners. We know that's not going to always happen. We're not.
Yep.
We're encouraging people to do that so they can qualify for the team of the year and also qualify for the championship. But if they can only fish one or two, come fish them. Grab a partner and come do it. It's no big deal. And I do that a lot in places, especially with like Bassmasters. I don't care about the Angler of the Year points. I might this year. Who knows if I do good this tournament? I might think about it. But I just pick up one or two, and you guys can do that too with the team series. But to qualify for the national championship, you got to fish at least 3 tournaments with the same teammate.
Okay.
To qualify for the championship, and then to qualify for team of the year, and get that check and earn those points, you've got to fish at least 4 with the same teammate. And so that keeps that does a few things. It keeps people from cherry picking. In other words, I'm going to Tennessee. Who's my teammate going to be this week? I'm going to go get Jacob Wheeler and go fish. Jacob Wheeler on Chickamauga, and then that kind of stuff. It prevents all of that. And so other things that we're doing that I think what I'm looking forward to personally is I want to see the different strategies that the teams use to be successful, because you don't have to fish side by side. You don't have to fish within eyesight of each other. You can communicate on your phone back and forth. You can make adjustments during the day, and then the 10 fish limit isn't for a 1 day. That's for the 2 days. And you can catch the 10 fish the 1 day, or you can catch the 10 fish the second day, or you can catch them all together. It's just your best 10 over a 2-day period. Where that excites me is those guys who bomb on the first day, you still got a chance the second day. So don't pack it up.
There's a chance. Yep.
Don't pack it up and go home, because you can catch all 10 of those the next day. And if you don't catch any and your partner catches them all, well, it's still 10 fish.
Yeah.
So I think
that's pretty cool. That's actually a really good idea. I like that. And like you said, it gives people more incentive to stay around regardless of what happens, because you're always in it. You know how it is. Any one time you can run into that school and, hey, bro, could get over here and let's wear them out. You go from worst to first just like that.
Yep.
I'll just logging in and looking at some of the team names. This is going to be fun to see some of the names people come up with. We've got old Rice and Bean out there, Team Rice and Bean. That's Ryan Rice over at RJM Fishtail. He was quick to jump in as a member and start a team. You got Backcountry Anglers. I like this one, Doc Dingers. I don't know who's on it, but
there you go.
We got the Doc Dingers. Net Worthy, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And then somebody dropped the gauntlet here and just their name is Big Bass USA. So they're letting everybody know they're coming out swinging.
Uh-oh. Don't put yourself on a pedestal and you're going to get knocked off.
It's going to be fun to see what some of these teams do. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta love it. So tell us a little bit about the rules you got coming in, just to keep everybody straight and, give them an idea of how to prepare.
Yep. So we talked about early on, we kind of mirrored what Steve-O's doing over at Bass with his rules. We even actually he was kind enough to let us borrow some of his what I call legalese as we formatted the rules. Now, we had to go in and tweak it, obviously, to fit a 2-person team format. There are some differences. Communication is probably the biggest difference. I think you can talk verbally on the water with competitors in his series, but on our series, you can actually communicate with your teammate in any format, electronically, verbally, because your strategy might not be to fish side by side on a school. It might be for you to be at one end of Gunnersville and me at the other end of Gunnersville hitting 2 hot spots. So we've got to be on the phone with one another. So communication is one of the biggest rule differences. I know a couple of people it's been a hot topic in the community about release videos. We don't have a release video mandate in our rules, but we almost do. It's a cover your butt rule, really. What ours says essentially is that a release video isn't necessary with the initial fish submission or at any time unless you get a legitimate challenge on a fish. If you get a legitimate challenge on a fish and you don't have the release video, you might be in danger of having a DQ'd fish. So basically have the release video. That just cover your butt.
I mean, and we've all been fishing long enough to know that, hey, this fish has got a blind eye on the left side.
Yes.
We've got to let's cover our butt. This fish is exactly the same length as another fish that I've got in my live well. Let's let me take a video of that showing that I released it just in case it is the same fish that I caught earlier. That kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think we saw one event like that where Mike Elsey had a release video, and it was like, okay, yeah, it was, 2 different times, place, whatever. But yeah, so it's just like you said, if it's not mandatory, that's fine. But it's a good idea to get people thinking that way in the future. It's just a couple extra seconds, and like you said, especially one with a blind eye. You don't want to be caught, finding that one floater hanging around and be like, I'm gonna slap this up on the board real quick and act like it. Oh yeah, watch this swim away.
Yep.
I'll tell you one of the key changes we made, JT, right before we finalized the rules for the season. And just so folks know, it is finalized. No more changes on this year's rule set. But we opted at the last minute after talking to a bunch of anglers, talking to our advisory board. We did away with the off limits period. There are some rules they need to be familiar with during our official practice period, which goes out a week before the event, that they can and can't do. But as far as off limits, there really is no off limits period. And we did that to try to be uniform throughout the industry with the other series that are out there. I know we've got, Drew when we go to Susky, Drew will be there the week before with his Kayak Adventure series. Right. And some of our anglers are going to hold over from his event, fish his event, and then come fish ours. And we didn't want them being.
You're breaking up.
Are you losing me, or are we losing you?
You're good. You're good on my end.
There you go.
Okay.
Must be my Starlink.
But anyway, so we don't have an off limits period. Short answer, but be familiar with the way that wording works in rule number 3. I was just looking through them here to see if there's anything really important we need to bring up. And that might be one of them. So our rules, if you go to them and look at them right now, before we get our website live over the next few days, if you go to our Facebook page, there's a tab at the top of a Facebook page called Files. If you go to the Files tab, you'll see our rules right there. The key differences between us and Bass and some of the other series are in red, and some of the most recent final edits are in red and underlined. So those are the ones I'd pay particular to. Need to be familiar with all the rules, but be particularly familiar with those key differences.
Okay. Are you guys doing the tail pinch kind of thing? Is that okay? Yeah, I know that's. I think we've standardized that across the board all the way for everybody this year. So I never do that because if I ever touched the smallie in that direction, it'd be gone. Right. But I know some people that are just used to doing that, and you go right ahead. Oh, Gramps is going to be clamping to the death grip.
That's right. Go back and look at some of my pictures. Go back and look at some of my pictures. They are death grips. I mean, I've had my forearm across a couple 23 inches. And they're just...
Dude, I never had such a hard time as when I went up to Wisconsin and fishing the River Fest up there. Them smallies wanted to be the littlest ones were the worst ones. Yep. But I mean, sit still. I don't know how they do it. I mean, I was about ready to grab some clear tape and start masking taping fish down. These things are jumping, but I mean that's half fun
Yeah,
too. So
Michael mentioned our advisory board, which is something really cool that I've really made sure that we did to start with. One of the things that happens to those of us, those of us who do are the tournament directors, we
mhm.
lose touch with the anglers because we're so busy trying to run the show.
Yep.
We forget about a lot of things, and we lose a lot of things. So I tasked Jody Queen with coming up with an advisory board of anglers, and he's very experienced with advisory boards because he sits on 2 or 3 more that are nonprofit boards, and so he knows how to run them. He knows how many people need to be in them and everything else. So I just left it up to him,
Yeah.
and so we go to him with like we send him the rules, we sent him all of these things, everything that we're doing, we communicate with him, and then he takes them to the advisory board, and then they go over it and they vote on it, and then he comes back to us and lets us know what they think, and then we have the option of taking their advice or not. 99 times out of 100 we're going to take their advice.
Yep.
And I really think that that's a huge asset for us, and I trust Jody with being able to I did mention one person, or told him, gave him the one person's name that I wanted to make sure it was on there. That person knows who he is. I'm not going to mention it, but somebody who is very quick to point out things that are wrong, and I need somebody like that. Somebody who's not afraid to stick their neck out and say, "Hey, dude, no, I don't like this at all." And even if everybody else likes it. And so I really needed him on the advisory board. Other than that, Jody picked them all. So
That's good. That's really good. I mean, that's the great thing about setting something up these days and age. You guys both have enough experience fishing all the different tournament trails. You bring in a world of knowledge, and hammers yourself. And so having guys like that are actually running it, makes it nice.
yeah, and they're all fishing the tournament, and so if anything, and they'll have their ears to the track, and they'll be able to come back to us and tell us, hey, look, this ain't working. But we're not going to change rules in the middle of the season. Nothing's going to change. They're set in stone now. We did make a change because we haven't published this yet, but we did recently make a change to the to the championship format. And it's going to be really, really cool. So the first 2 days is a 3-day tournament. First 2 days is going to be fished like a normal tournament, 10 fish over a 2-day period. And then we cut the field to 50%, and and zero out everybody's score. And the last day you go fish, and the team with the biggest 10 fish at the end of the day wins the championship.
So they zero out, and then they're fishing for 10 fish
on the
on
last
one day.
That's what I'm talking about.
Show up.
That'll be exciting.
Bro. I love.
Yeah.
That will be cool. That's an awesome format. I like that.
And I really want people to earn their place in the championship as much as possible on the first year. We may adjust it throughout the years to make it even more difficult to qualify for it, but I really think that that making sure people fish at least 3 of the tournaments, and then and then the points take effect and everything else. We'll figure all that later, but yeah, I want people to earn their spot in the championship and really and really feel like they got they won something really big. So
that's really cool. And you guys are scoring your fish this year on Tourney X.
Tourney X, yep.
Are you guys providing identifiers, or are you just telling anybody to use what are your IDs going to be this year?
We plan on providing identifiers. People will find out about that at least a week out before the Murray event, but we'll provide those and that's another point too. Our captains' meetings are mandatory. So the Friday night before the event starts, you have to come for a board check and a captain's meeting and register.
You have to show up to the captain's meeting. There's not going to be an online meeting. You've got to show up.
Yeah. All right.
And we know there's sometimes emergencies or something that happens, and we'll handle those on a case-by-case basis. But that is going to be a mandatory. You're going to have to show up.
Yep. So for those of you who, if you haven't fished a kind of event, because a lot of us, we use our whatever tournament tags on our 10 tag things and flip-flops and all that. Make sure you have beforehand a way to hold your tournament ID in one of the tournament pouches with the little Velcro or, something. So they'll provide those IDs there, but be cognizant of that. Don't just show up with the tourney tag thinking, oh, I'm going to write my code on here.
Yep.
So, be ready ahead of time.
That's it.
Very
I wanted to
cool.
mention something about our advisory board too, in case anybody has thought this, and they may not. They may be smart enough to know that this isn't the case, but they are just that. They're advisory board members. They offer advice on different things that we can tweak throughout the year to run a good program. Rules are set for the year, but these guys are not judges. They're not tournament directors. They're not going to have the back end data info, because some, if not all of our board members, I think, are intending on competing in some of our events this year. So just don't go into that thinking, oh, well, all those guys have EXIF data on and are judging fish. They're not. All the judging is going to be up to Gene and I, or those that we hire to do judging outside, third party. So.
Yep, exactly. And it's not one of the. I was talking to Marty Hughes earlier today, and he was talking about some of like his things. He lets Tourney X does all his judging. So it's not like he's catching a nationwide database of waypoints from everybody fishing in his, 2025 fish catch thing, and it's it's the same thing. So it's again, when you have them hosted on Tourney X or wherever, you let the tournament directors, the judges take care of that, and then you've got Gene and Michael that'll take care of TDing, answering those questions during the tournament, rules clarifications, things like that. But the even like they were saying, make sure you make note of this. The people who are on the advisory board, they're not judges. They're not access to Tourney X. They're providing advice before and after the events, but not during. Obviously, that's correct. These two. These are our tournament directors right here.
Yep. I don't want your waypoints anyway. So
you don't need them. We're trying to get yours.
They're like deer tracks. Waypoints are like deer tracks. It tells you where they used to be.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm just trying to.
How many times
follow you around?
How many times have you heard stinking Russ Snyder's come on a podcast after a big win and say, you know what, I just showed up late and I hit new water, and I mean, just find your stinking fish. Waypoints don't matter.
No, I mean, I think one of the greatest examples of that is when Jeff followed Russ around at the Kentucky Lake National Championship, and he was just fishing. I mean, you sit there watching, it's like he paddled up as far as he can get, and he's just, he's fishing. He's throwing a jig under a log,
Uh-huh.
There was no, I watched everybody else out live scoping brush piles. I saw Casey Reed and Alex Miller, they were rotating around, just making a milk run and throwing their shaky heads and, spotlighting, catching their fish and moving on. But everybody's got to catch their own. Drew Gregory just went to Havasu, left, 8 inches of snow and, went fishing.
Yep.
No
paddling around. No graph, right? No graph.
Yeah. No, his electronics consisted of his phone and Google Earth. And it's like, oh, I saw some fish here. I'll remember this later, And he had all the footage and was showing us, But
hey, you can stop talking about Drew Gregory. I'm mad at him right now. I can't believe he can do that crap. And here I am about to start pre-fishing, and I've got to have all 6 days.
Yeah, I'm just going fishing, catch all the fish. And I'm like,
whatever.
I laughed when I was talking to him because it's like, the only time this year I went with zero electronics is when I went to the Wisconsin River, because I had no idea what I was getting into. Yeah. I had no idea about sandbars. I had just experienced the Susky and thought I was going to beat the crap out of all my gear. So I really thought it was going to be just like that again. Oh, no, it was completely not. I had deep water, bluff walls, sandbars. And I was like, boy, I really wish I had my stuff. And then I go up there and I fish literally the best tournament I've ever fished, coming 6th in a national event. And I'm like, with nothing on my boat but a motor and my rods. Yep. PWR was awesome. But,
awesome.
So, JP. Yeah, I guess there's something to be said for just going fishing sometimes.
Yep. Do you have the schedule to pull up?
I sure do.
Throw it up there.
Let's see if I can add this to the stage and throw us off to the side there. Looky there.
All right. So
that is a gorgeous looking logo. I got to tell you guys.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
That's going to look good hanging on top of some catch trophy for sure.
That's going to be some awesome hardware. We're excited about what we got coming. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So First one is March 1st and 2nd on Lake Murray, which is going to be, red rattle traps and fire tiger, everything. Matter of fact, I just got a box of from Biz Baits. It's like straight fire tiger, everything they make in fire tiger. So I
I
get to
thought you were going to talk about your box you found.
Oh no. I found a box of rattle traps. I took a picture of them. It was a box and it was labeled red traps and or red lipless, and I sent it to Michael.
Probably
And
50.
no, there's more than that. There's about 75 red rattle traps in this box. I'm like, how in the heck did I get that many over the last 30 years of fishing? Oh, it's crazy. So that'll be fun. The March one, April 5th and 6th is primetime Gunnersville pre-spawn spawn. It's going to be ridiculous. If the weather holds up and everything else, that week, or those 2 weeks of that period of time in April, I guide Gunnersville, so I'm speaking from experience. That is money time there, bro. It's just going to be a fun tournament. Going to be a lot of big ones caught. So, and then a month later, May 5th, 3rd, and 4th on Kentucky Lake. Kentucky Lake's going to be fun. It's not going to be like the national championship where you could go 5,000 miles away and fish. It's going to be, we've got our rules of, to the first shoal, and that's it. And then after that, in June, so you got about a month and a half before you got to go to that one. You got Nickajack, and we're going to be partnering with the Tennessee Bass Nation.
Okay.
So we'll be doubling up with them. So you'll be able to fish 2 tournaments during that period of time. Michael, are we going to have to tweak any of the rules for at the captain's meeting for that?
No, we won't have to tweak any of our rules, but they're going to have to be mindful of what Steve-O's rules are if they fish our event and his at the same time. So they may have to leave a couple of things and options that are available to them during his event.
And we'll cover all that at the captain's meetings and that.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
yeah.
And then in August we were going to leave it at just those 4 tournaments, but Jody Queen was like, "Dude, you got to do a Susky event." And I got to thinking, I said, that's a good opportunity for us to kind of gauge what the interest would be up around you guys up in the Northeast and see what kind of interest we have up there and what kind of numbers we can draw. Because next year we could add add a Northeast trail, a whole nother trail, and then have those trails combined in some type of championship or whatever else. But so the Suskies is really good. I've never fished a Susky. Mike fished it this last year.
You've never been up there?
Nope, never have. And so I've always wanted to fish it. So it's going to be, I'm going to show up to Drew's event the week before and either fish it or do a seminar for him and just fun fish the area and that kind of stuff. I'll probably fish it though.
We're going to be up there either way. I plan on fishing it. It's going to be a blast. And Gene, he's in for a treat. You can't go up there, Gene, and not fish the Susky. You got to do it.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah.
And so, and then that'll be our full season. And then October 10th through the 12th is going to be prime time fall fishing on Santee Cooper. That's going to be a hog fest as well. So I feel like I picked the best time of the year for some of the best lakes in the country, at least that part of the country. Like I said, this is the first year we're kind of trying to keep them as close to Southeast as possible, just so it's travel wise for me and Michael. It's not so bad because we don't want to lose a whole lot of money doing this. We'd rather break even at the end of the year. And then like I said, the championship is just going to be so much fun. If you guys have never fished Santee Cooper, oh my goodness, it's 2 giant lakes full of cypress trees with giant Florida strain bass in them, and that's far enough north where they actually do get a fall pattern. If you get down and to get those Florida strain down in here where I'm in Florida, they never have a fall pattern. So
okay.
And we obviously chose that after the alligator mating season, so we'll be fine on Santee Cooper with the gators.
Yep.
You can see we actually purposely left a little bit of gap there with July. The reason for that being, I mean, there's a couple of series doing some things in July. We stayed away from their dates. We stayed away from Independence Day. We're going to be at ICAST this year too. So July, we just left July alone.
Yeah, and then we also coordinated with Steve-O with the kayak or the Bassmaster Kayak Series, And so we made sure that we didn't stand on any of his dates and that kind of stuff. So
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
Main reason is because I'm fishing all those this year.
yeah, he's fishing.
Oh, there you go. All right, cool.
Yeah.
And then in the future, we we hope to be able to work with Drew and with Steve-O, which we've already talked to both of them, and just make sure that we coordinate our schedules to where
Yeah.
where people can fish as many of these tournaments as they can, as they want to. Excuse me. So
And I actually need to talk to Chad about setting up the Yak Attack piggyback events because we're piggybacking on both Drew's and Steve-O's for the biggest pair, and then there's also Yak Attack prize packs for the folks that for the 3 best fish pre-fishing. So if
cool.
it's a KBF member, you can fish them, and it's just a good way for Yak Attack, again, one of your primary sponsors as well, for Yak Attack to give out. I think it's gift cards for like the top 3 at each of the events for the biggest pair and the pre-fishing. So I'll have to make sure he sets up and does events for these as well, because I know he and Austin were talking about doing some of these as well. So that's cool.
Yep.
Awesome.
Shoot, yeah. Looks like it's going to be a fun season, y'all.
For sure.
So I'm kind of looking through the comments, looking for any questions. If you guys have them, drop them in there. I did see one about what section of the Susquehanna River are you focusing on?
We're looking at the West Branch right now.
Branch,
Nothing's in
okay.
stone just yet. We still got a ways out before we finalize the locations, but that's what we're looking at right now.
Okay. Very good. I know a lot of people talk about looking for teammates and coming up with funny team names, which you got to love that too. So excellent.
Oh, Michael, talk about solos.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's important to know. A lot of people have asked that question. So this is a team series. So under any and every circumstance we can make it happen, you will be fishing with another individual, man or woman, child. We love to say, I say child. We're excited to see maybe some fathers and sons, mothers and sons, mothers, daughters, kids, parents, aunts, uncles. I don't care. It'd be interesting to see what kind of pairs we get. So anyway, back to the point.
Solos showing up, you can pair them together probably.
Correct.
Yeah, that's why our cutoff date.
Yep. That's why the cutoff date's important. So with cutoff being a week before the event, if you have not established a teammate before that cutoff date, we still encourage you to please register. One way or another, you're going to get to fish the event. You're not going to be kicked away because you didn't have a teammate. But if you didn't get your own teammate by the registration deadline and you are registered, tournament directors will randomly pair you with any others who were in that same boat and registered as a solo and couldn't get a teammate. If that can't happen because there's odd numbers and we can't pair you with somebody, then and only then will you have the opportunity to fish as a solo. But you're going up against 2-man teams.
At the end of all of it, if there's a solo, there will be only one.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's exactly right. And if that individual were to come out swinging and win the doggone thing, they win the whole pot. It's not like it's not like we're going to split the winnings.
10 fish and going to town.
Yeah, that's what I said the other night. I said if you get a solo that comes on and fishes and does that, they absolutely deserve that pot. They can beat you.
And both trophies.
Yeah,
yeah. I got one for my office at work and the house.
There you go.
You talk about the biggest pair. That'd be awesome.
If you do get to the registration deadline and you didn't have a teammate in time, and we have to pair you with one, or you have to fish as a solo because we can't find one to pair you with, that event for you will not be a qualifying event for the championship or the TOY. You have to have had an established teammate prior to the registration deadline for that to be a qualifying event for you. So that's important to remember too.
Now I understand this question because this is from Charlie Sanderson, and he's a youngster. What is the age cutoff, and how are you going to deal with like youth anglers?
So
pair them up with their father and kind of do like we do the rest of them. What's the like 16, 17-year-olds?
So I'm going to go to the rules to make sure I say it right. I don't want to get it wrong. If you are a minor, you have to have, obviously, as far as waivers go, you have to have the parent or legal guardian sign off and approve and all that, same as any other series. I want to say, Gene, do you remember while I'm looking it up?
Not off the top of my head. It's gonna be you need a parent or guardian.
Yeah, and they have. If you are a minor, you have to be within eyesight of the adult that's fishing. You're not going to be able to be left alone on the water. I think if you're under
So
16.
realistically, Charlie, for example, I've seen him do this in previous tournaments. His dad will follow him around as he fishes. But even if he had, say, a pro partner, he could partner with somebody, but still have his father follow him around as they fish.
Yeah. That's allowed. Absolutely. Good point.
All right, perfect. Yep. There we go. And then we got Galen asking what are the entry fees? So that's something else you guys need to talk about a little bit is your memberships and then the entry fees here. So let's hop into that.
For Galen, it's $500.
$500. That's funny. So our entry fees for our events, essentially they are $100 per event, $200 per team. But let me clarify that or qualify that. So the actual total entry fee for each event is $109.99, and we're trying to be 100% transparent there.
Right.
$6.50 of that goes to the Tourney X fee, and $3.49 of that goes to the Stripe fee, which is the payment processor. All right. So that leaves $100 that goes 100% to the payouts. It's going to be 100% payouts based off of $100 of that entry fee. But the total is $109.99 per event to cover those additional fees. But it says that right in the registration, so it's up front and you know how much it is and what those fees cover. So we wanted that to be up front for everybody to see.
Jack, you're exactly right.
There's also a membership fee prior to the events.
Yes.
And that's correct. A one-time annual thing.
Yep. Okay. Yep. A one-time for the first year, inaugural year, we're doing them. We want to encourage as much participation as possible. You know, we're trying to provide to sponsors and the industry and the community and everybody proof of concept here and build an event that's going to be not only fun and enjoyable for everybody, but elite competition that people can enjoy. Yeah. So we're coming in with a low entry fee. The first year, $25. We are a member-based series, so you have to be a member. And your membership expires at the end of the year. That's something we need to talk about too. Regardless of when you pay your $25 membership, and it's $25 regardless of when you join. If you join in January because you want to fish the whole season, it's $25. If you join in June because you want to go to Susquehanna, and it's going to be $25, and it's going to expire December 31st.
Okay.
So they all renew at the first of the year.
Okay, very good.
Next year, that membership fee is going to be double that. It's going to be $50, but we don't intend to go any over that if we can help it. So
yeah, we may get the inaugural year off the ground.
Yeah, and we may in the future send out a poll to anglers and ask them if they want the entry fee to go up so the payout's higher. You know, there may be something that we do that further down the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know how it is. Crawl, walk, run.
Yeah, exactly. And if they want to see higher payouts, then we'll have higher entry fees until we get this thing going good and solid and can get sponsorship money behind it. But that money will never be guaranteed. It'll be just, we'll just have to throw that in the pot at the end of it. Who knows? I don't know how that's going to work. But yeah,
and derby fishing, that's good.
And Jack Tibbins, your solo is still $100 because each teammate has to register separately, and then after you're both registered, you combine as a team. So each of you pay your $100, and then it gets combined.
Because a lot of people allows somebody who is looking for a partner to register and be paid up front, and then Michael and Gene can pair them together and join them as a team. And then, like they said, if there is a single left over at the end of it, then that person is the single. So,
that's it. Yep, that's it exactly. A lot of people have asked, how do I get my team set up? So if you go ahead and register, go ahead and pay your membership. If you need to know how to pay your membership, by the way, go to our Facebook page under the featured posts, somewhere pinned to the top of our page. You'll find a link to join TKS. But once you're signed up as a member, once you go to Tourney X and register for the event, you have to go then. You can do that from the mobile app. But after you register for the event, you have to go to a web browser and then set up your team. The instructions specifically on how to do that are in our files tab. There's a PDF that explains how to set up your team once you register
simple.
for the event.
It's really simple. It's very dumbed down. So
yeah.
Very good. Very good. All right. Anybody else got any other questions out there? If not, I'm going to let these guys get back to their evening, because I know we're all looking forward to. You said you're fishing all 5 of the Bassmaster too as well, Michael, right?
Yeah, everything except Havasu that just ended. I didn't go out there for that. I did
A lot of
Havasu
people
with
didn't.
KBF, and a lot of people didn't. It was actually, you had 111 anglers, which was impressive for West Coast, but it's still lower than what he saw an average of last year.
Oh.
So it's going to be, but I'm going to fish the rest of the bass events.
Yeah, Austin, I might do that, but he's in school. He just started school yesterday, so.
Okay.
Yep.
Since Gene aren't fishing them, then we'll have to let Gene get him out there fishing some catch 22 or some of the other stuff going on.
Yep.
10 tags, no Sly Fox. They will be using identifiers at the event, just like Bassmaster does. So they will hand out identifiers at the events.
I know some people would love to see these done as opens and not have membership fees. I might address that just a little bit. It costs money to run these events. And because we want to have 100% payout series, none of the registration fee money will be used to run this series. That's all going to payouts. So membership fees helps us, set up with event providers. It helps us provide insurance for all of our anglers. That's what
a lot of people really don't realize all of the stuff that goes behind the scenes that's required to run bass tournaments. So memberships cover, there's advertising, there's pre-ordering trophies, there's all kinds of
website costs.
Might be doing big checks and logo designs and StreamYard costs. There's a lot of things in the background it takes to run a business of running a tournament, and memberships obviously help with stuff like that, because Michael and Gene don't need to be trying to come out of their pockets, to try to provide
Mama
another.
Won't let me do it.
Nope. Nope. So it's memberships is part of what helps make and keep organizations, up and running. It's just part of it. We all should understand that as anglers. Bass is literally the Bass Angler Sportsman Society, and that we've had memberships for that forever. Everybody remembers the North American Fishing Club, memberships and what we do going on here helps sustain the organization, especially when like these two are getting a brand new one off the ground, providing yet another great tournament series for anglers to be able to go to and fish. We got to use our vacation days for something. So, right. Let's support. I'm going to join up and be a member regardless, even if I don't get a chance to go fish an event, because I want to support my guys doing what they're doing. I get it.
Appreciate that.
Yep. All right. I don't see any more questions popping in. Gents, I thank you both for taking the time to come out and talk to us tonight here on GRAMPS Live and again on the Everything Kayak Fishing podcast. I'll probably try to reach out and touch base with you guys as the season goes along, and maybe do some post-event, talks and so forth. But Sly Fox wants to know if you're thinking about doing some monthly challenges in the future. No, everything they're doing is in-person events. That's the direction they're going. We all know where we go for monthly challenges.
Yeah, I'll let KBF do that.
That's it. Yep. KBF is going the online route.
Yep.
And Kayak Team Series is literally for what those of us who like to travel, look for excuse to go fish destination lakes, and take our vacation and try to go catch that fish of a lifetime down in places that them fish, they don't show up here in Indiana very often. So the fact that you guys are doing it in places where we want to go fish, that's awesome.
Let me tell you something about this next week real quick. If any of y'all are on the fence about coming down here and fishing Florida, the Bassmaster series in Florida next week, you better get your tails down here. It is lining up to be an absolute barn burner. I mean, I plan on going through. I just bought a pack of 100 stick baits. I plan on going through some baits this week. Yeah, it's gonna be nuts.
For those of us that aren't and are up here in the snow, we'll be watching the Instagrams and the TikToks and whatever. Please post, daily to keep us all engaged.
I will be doing TikTok live at least one day in practice. So
perfect. Yep.
I'll say that if anybody, as far as our series, just kind of a parting word, If you've ever not fished tournaments or events because it's cost prohibitive for you, we are the series for you. Come share expenses with a teammate and split your costs in half. Have fun. You know, Gene has said several times in a couple other podcasts we've been privileged to be on that, you know, show up and bow up. If you got followers and people up north or even Midwest or even further that are looking to hope that series brings events to them. Show us this year how serious. That's why we did the Susky event. Get those guys to come down, participate and support that event, and show us that you're serious. And next year we may split and do a northern region. We may do a Midwest region. We'll take it where it goes, but we want to see how the first year goes.
This year, I get it. You guys got to keep it home, but it's not like you don't have the pick of the best lakes, pretty much. Yeah, that will draw people regardless. I mean, looking at your schedule, it's going to be incredible. So I can't wait.
Yep.
Cool.
Yamamoto. All right. Well, Yamamoto or Yam. When you come to a place like this, you go to the local tackle shop and you buy the local stuff that they make. So, Bridgemaster, they sell them in the 100 packs for $27.
There you go. Gentlemen, we'll be watching. We wish you both good luck, and obviously good luck with the season this year. Look forward to run you guys on the road again. And, we'll get some updates as we go. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in tonight. As always, get outside when you can and make some memories. One cast at a time.
See ya.